All right, hello and welcome to this third Blender tutorial, this one on creating moving objects. Um, if you haven't seen my other two, I suggest you go back and watch them. If you're completely new to Blender, check out lessons 1 and 2, they'll help you out. But here's lesson 3, changing what is on our screen. We finally got through the where everything is, we finally got through how to move around. This is the one you're all waiting for. I know you're sitting there, you're itching to make something really cool, make a monster, make a robot, that kind of stuff. And this is the first step. All right, so start off some basic tools, and we're going to use our basic cube for this one. There it is. It's our initial cube. It's sitting right at the center of our workspace here, what we call 0, 0, 0, which I'll get to in a second. But let's say we want to change this. Well, first of all, let's deselect everything here to select a shape to work with. Say I'm going to work with this cube. I know your gut's going to be, well, I'm going to go and click on it with my mouse. That's true. You need to right-click, though, to select stuff. So with the right mouse button, click on it. It's got this little orange-yellow line around the outside, and that's the one that is now selected. This is the one we're going to change. All right. And there are some ways we can change this. So let's say we want to move it, first of all. It's the easiest thing to do. Let's move it so it's somewhere else. Let's put it over here, maybe. And again, keyboard shortcuts are great. Yes, I could go over to my toolbar and I can go translate and I can move my thing around. Or if I get rid of the toolbar entirely, what I want to do is grab it and move it. So the keyboard shortcut we're going to use is G for grab. There it is. And now you'll notice it's kind of anchored to the mouse. I didn't need to have the mouse on it. Right, I need to be here, and I can grab from over here, and then just it's going to move around, zip it over there, and then left click to let go. Now it's over there. If I want to grab it, move it back, G to grab, left click to drop again. All right. Probably the most useful one you've got. Now, let's say I like this cube, but you know what? It's too big. I wanted this to be something a little smaller. Well, what we will talk about there is the scale of it, or the size of it. So in order to change that, we're going to use the S key to change the scale or change the size. Now, a tip here. When you're going to scale stuff, move your mouse so it's pretty far away from the object you're scaling, then hit S. And then you can sort of drag it in there until it's much, much smaller, or you can pull it out until it's much bigger. The reason why I say that is that if you put your mouse close to the object and then hit S, it kind of goes crazy really quickly there. It's kind of hard to control the scale of it. So go out here, S, shrink her down, whatever you want to do. Okay. The last keyboard shortcut, last tool we're going to use is R for rotate. Let's say we want to spin this around. No problem. We just go over here. We hit R. We spin around. Now you'll notice something is a little weird with this, in that it doesn't know which way to spin it. In order to do that, we have to start talking about what we call axes, or the 3 axes that are here. You might have met this if you're doing graphing in math, but basically the whole world that we've got here inside Blender is defined by these 3 axes. Now here, they are red, green, and blue. If you go down here, underneath my little mouse, you'll notice that they're actually labeled. It's X, Y, and Z. All we do in any kind of 3D animation is based upon these 3 dimensions. X and Y are basically the ground. If you're standing where you're standing right now, or sitting, say, in front of the computer, the x-axis is forward and backwards towards your screen, away from your screen. The y-axis is left and right, sliding your chair left and right. And z is standing up or sitting down. Z, the up and down axis, the blue axis on here, is your up and down. So, well, how does that affect us? Well, here's the trick, and this is what's going to save you hours and hours of swearing in Blender. If you want to move something, say this cube, but you only want to move it up, you only want to move it along our z-axis, the blue arrow here, you can do a couple of things. You can either grab the blue arrow and drag it up and down, and you'll notice it's got a little blue line there it's locked to. You can't move it left or right. It's not going to work. I've got to move it up or down. You can do that and drag down again. So the x-axis, I can do the same thing. y-axis, same thing again. Or if you want to use your keyboard shortcuts, if you're that kind of artist, if you say, let's say we're going to grab, it's going to move along all axes, that say, okay, but I only want to use the red line. I only want to use the x-axis. I hit X on the keyboard, and now it's locked to the x-axis. I can't move it along the y or the z. Same thing, I want to grab along the y, I want to grab z, boom, done. All right, those shortcuts, the X, Y, and Z shortcuts, also work for scaling. Let's say I like this cube, but it's too tall. I want to scale down, but only on the Z, only on the up and down axis. I go S for scale. Right now it's going to do all of them. If I then hit Z on the keyboard, it's only going to do the Z axis. I can drag it out, I can shrink it down. And then we've got a kind of rectangular box looking thing. If I then scale along the Y, scale the X, oh, there we go. See, I started too low, so I got more of a pizza box looking one. And I'm going to scale along the Z once more, make it thinner. It looks more like a pizza box all the time. I'm hungry. All right, so and then rotate as well. So this is when we're talking about, okay, if I want to spin this thing around, but I only want to rotate it around the Z axis, right? So imagine this is now stuck on a thing. If I hit R to rotate and then I hit Z, so we've got our blue line, it's only going to spin around that blue line. So I go this, and then I'm going to rotate. Let's say I want to rotate around the x-axis, the red line. Hit that X, and it's going to spin this way. It's much easier than having Blender, just you hit R and having Blender kind of guess which way you want to spin it, which generally doesn't work out all that well. So pick axis, and there you go. From our default cube, we got something a little more like that. All right. So, and if you are, like I said, if you are that kind of person who is big into numbers, you'll notice all of the location where it is up here, and what we call the rotation amounts are all here. So if I go back to 0 and all 3, it's totally flat. And you'd be like, okay, because I'm really into the details, I want it along the green axis, the y-axis. I want it to be at 45 degrees, no problem. 45, boom, now it's at 45 degrees. Or I can go 90, it's exactly upright. It's not slightly off, you're not trying to fiddle with it. Exactly upright, which is kind of handy. Okay, that's one last tip on moving stuff around. If you are sort of that numbers guy, if you are someone who's really focused on getting everything exactly right like that. All right, so that's the video here. The 3 things to remember: G is for grab, S is for scale, R is for rotate. Check your keyboard shortcuts, handouts and stuff that are on the website. And if you want to pick a specific axis to spin around or to grab along, remember it's X, Y, and Z. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.